Hi, folks, and welcome to the 23rd episode of the Vitor Vicente podcast. I'm having the honor today of chatting to David Mason, a dating coach based in Dublin and originally coming from Germany. David is massive in social media, having more than 1.5 million followers across his accounts. He has been very influential on males to put their lives together and finding the right partner. So stick around if you are into this topic. And if you enjoy the conversation, don't hesitate to give me a thumbs up. Also, I would be very grateful if you would subscribe to my channel. So I see you in a sec. Hi, David. Welcome to my podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I'm delighted to have you here. But before we start chatting, I just want to say happy birthday because I noticed yesterday that
Thank
you're
you.
celebrating your birthday.
Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed the celebration and you had a good one with your partner, friends.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Cool. So I also want to give you a compliment. I'm a big fan of your content.
Thank
and
you.
one other note here, not just to you, but for the people out there. So I'm a big fan of your content. I found it very helpful, although I haven't benefited directly from it. What I mean by that, I just want to tell to people I'm not back in the dating market because most of your content is about dating, and I think it's very helpful for men in general. But I don't just watch things that are related to me. I think I also want to see how people are doing well for the others, for humanity. And I think your approach to dating is not just about dating as interactions, but also how to make men better men. In the sense of Jordan Peterson, when he says that the best thing that you can do about dating is becoming the person that others want to date. Am I correct in saying that?
Yep.
So that's you. Yeah, that's good. Good. Okay, let's start with the dating topic, which I think is number one. It's a good starting point. So, how would you define a good date? Well, what would be the setup?
In terms of outcome or process?
Let's start from scratch, like from the beginning till the end.
A first date?
Yeah, first date. Yeah, we start from scratch.
Okay. So ideally best to just meet in a bar and have alcohol-free drinks. I wouldn't recommend dinner as a first date for a variety of different reasons. Eating isn't the most aesthetic activity in and of itself. It's not about the type of nutrition you consume, but about the communication between the two of you. So just meet in a bar, sit next to her, ideally alcohol-free drinks. You talk for around an hour and a half, and then you go for the kiss after an hour or 2 or 3. If the kiss is only ever an offer, she'll decide whether she want to accept it or not, but it's very, very important that you make it. That in terms of the basic setup. Even before then, I'd say you should suggest a concrete time and place. What do you want to do? When are you free? All nonsense. Suggest. Say, hey, let's meet for drinks one of these days. She says, great. Then you say, okay, how about Tuesday or Thursday? Okay, great. Or you suggest one. Then you meet for the date, and then it's about the communication on the date.
So there are two things that you already eliminated from the first date. One is the alcohol. The second is the drink. So why not having alcohol?
1, because it's a neurotoxin. 2, because it's a group A carcinogen. 3, it messes with your calibration. 4, it messes with your self-esteem, your confidence, because you'll realize you depend on it. Because most men use it as a form of liquid confidence because they don't know how to manage their own emotions, because they don't know how to be confident around women. So they rely on that. The problem is a part of you knows that that's what you're doing. You can BS a bunch of other people, but you can't BS yourself. A part of you will always know that you're reliant on an external substance to feel as confident and carefree and funny or witty in your expression as you want to be. So yeah, I would just reduce it. Another thing is, I just don't take people serious when they're talking to me while they're drunk. I just don't. I take them as a human being serious, but not the words that come out of their mouth. We've all had conversations with people who are drunk, and men tell each other, "I love you so much, bro." And they're drunk. And I have empathy for that because they don't know how to connect to other men. They don't know how to connect to themselves when they're not drunk. I have empathy for it. But the problem is people just won't take you serious. And so I want to be taken serious. Unless we're obviously joking around, I do want to be taken serious, and alcohol directly inhibits that. There's no way, and I feel like Andrew Huberman deserves a great deal of credit for this in terms of how he pushed the negative side effects of alcohol over the years. I learned a lot from him. There's no way in which your life is going to be any worse than 10 years if you were to decide to cut out alcohol. Zero. But there's 7 or 8 very real ways in which a lot of the areas of your life can go to absolute shit if you keep it up.
And what if the woman suggests that she would like to go, for a few beers or a few glasses of wine?
She can
What
do whatever.
would you do about that?
She can do whatever. She can do whatever she wants. I just won't. Yeah.
Okay, so
Also,
that's on the man. Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just thinking. So that's on the man. So if she wants to drink, she has free road to do that.
She can do whatever she wants. I'm not here to dictate what women or people could or couldn't do. It's more about selecting somebody who's right for you. Fernanda barely ever drinks. She had probably, I don't drink at all, my fiance, and she had maybe one day this year, she had a few drinks. That's it. One day this year, we're halfway done. And I didn't tell her not to.
Yeah. Okay, so that's about the alcohol. The other one is the dinner. And I think it's more controversial than the alcohol these days, because I think there are more and more people that are not drinking. But dinner is like seen as, how you impress the woman because you bring her to that cool restaurant. Now, I'm going to just tell you in advance, I'm very much against dinner as a date setting, very much against. And I got so much backlash, but let's get your opinion first, and then I will try to add my stuff on top of it.
Yeah, I think you can go for dinner for a first date. Anything can work, but we're talking about probabilities, not possibilities. Anything can work, but what's the highest probability that the desired outcome is going to occur? What's the desired outcome? Creating interaction and connection and screening for compatibility. I believe that if she insists on dinner for the first date, she's probably not that interested in you, but more in the steak. So, or the experience of the dinner itself. Whether it's coffee or drinks, or it doesn't really matter. But it just makes things so much easier. By the way, like some people have a lot of money, they can spend that on dinner. Some people don't have a lot of money. So you don't need to go and spend 100 or 200 euros every time you go on a first date. You can have 2 drinks each and then talk. It's about the communication. It's about you getting to know each other, you building interaction, you communicating your personality authentically and effectively. That's what it's about. It's about the emotion. It's not about consuming substances.
Yeah, 100%. Like the dinner, it's not a facilitator when it comes to people interacting. It's more about the what's going on, the surroundings. Like I think most men, and I probably you agree with me, most men are pretty weak. So they use this restaurant as a tool, because let's say if I bring you to a fancy restaurant, I can be the shittiest man on earth, but I brought her there, so she might like me. And then what will happen, that she likes the places where you are bringing her, but she won't like you. And the chances that you can be replaced are very, very high, because there's a lot of like weirdos out there who have money, so they can bring you to that restaurant. So the chances that you'll be replaced are high, not only right away, but even if you are on a relationship with her, because all she cares is someone who will bring her to that place that she can put a photo on Instagram. So it's all about her vanity.
Yeah, I would not say that most men are weak as such. I would say that communication is weak. I don't think they're weak at the core. It's how they present themselves that makes them come across as weak. I don't think most people are weak inherently. How they present themselves, I think a lot of people have a lot of weak habits. That's true. But there's also a lot of men who are strong. It's just the communication sucks.
Yeah. Well, the communication is how you present ourselves to the world. So that's the image that is there. Like you might be strong in other areas. Let's say you can be very skilled when it comes to your work, or let's say in your sport activity. But when it comes to interacting with others, you just collapse. There are those guys who are wild and they are vocal, but when it gets to that situation when they have to communicate their wants, they just fail because they cannot express that.
Yeah.
Okay, the other one in terms of first date, which I think this one is not as controversial, I think it's still accepted, is who is paying. I think you stick on the traditional view that it's the man's turn.
Yeah, so I'm not ideological. I suggest that the man should pay on the first date. I also say you don't have to go for dinner on the first date because different people have different budgets. I'm not ideological. I'm not saying this is the way the world should work. This is how everybody should live their lives. There's 8 billion people in the world, and happiness is very individual. But for most people, masculine and feminine polarization works. And I think it's a cool sign if you just pay, if you just take care of it. It doesn't have to be expensive. If it's just, let's say she has alcoholic drinks, you have alcohol-free drinks, it's not that much. It's affordable. Splitting the check is a massive turnoff, even though some women are going to be fine with it. But I would say just offer it to pay for it. It's okay. But again, you also don't have to go for $200-300 steak, just drinks.
Yeah. And what if the date is crap? Let's say you are extremely disappointed. She acted disrespectful with you. Would you still pay?
I would say probably, yeah. It depends on how far the disrespect has gone. But most of the time, I would just say, yeah, because why not? Like, what do I lose?
Yeah.
It's $40. I would just say, why not? Because leave it. There's no reason not to.
I had a situation back in the time when I lived in Budapest that I wanted to pay for the date. Like genuinely, I wanted to pay. But somehow, my card didn't work. There are those days, like you never know with technology. Can happen. And she paid because there was no ATM around the corner, so it didn't make sense to go back and forth, like, I don't know, 20 minutes. Yeah. She paid. And I was unsure whether she thought I was just playing a role, that I was unsatisfied and I want to pay. So I remember going back home and thinking, would there be a second date? Because if there is a second date, that means she likes me.
Very good sign. If there was a second date, that'd be a very good sign. Yeah.
Yeah, and we had a second date.
Awesome. Cool.
We had a second date. Yeah. So you also refer the outcome of the date. So what is for you like a satisfactory outcome of a first date? But like, is the kiss a must? Is sex too much? How would you?
There's no very good question. There's no must, because the more you have a list of expectations, the higher the probability that you're going to get disappointed, and even before then, the higher the probability that your energy is going to come across as weak and weird and attached. So having a degree of non-attachment really matters. But I'd say you should always go for the kiss. And most of the time in the West, if you like each other, there's going to be a kiss. But you offer it, you're going so slow that you can always back out if she's uncomfortable, but you got to make the offer after an hour, 2 or 3. That's one thing. Sex, I would say probably most of the time, second or third. I've had some clients that are so religious they don't want to have sex before marriage. That's also fine, each to their own. Most of the time it's going to be first, second, or third, right? I would say most of the time it's going to be second or third. There are no hard rules. You just got to make the offer to move things forward very, very slowly, very, very gradually, and then she can decide when to opt in and when to opt out.
Yeah.
Sorry, I would add one thing that's very important in terms of the outcome of the date. The most important thing is that you freely express yourself. That's the most important thing. Because while being calibrated, not being weird, being free in your expression, positive, lighthearted, with good emotions, that is more important. Because then the outcome, the kiss, the intimacy, whatever you want to have happen, if there's compatibility, will ensue over the next couple of dates. But if you're already restricted, which is what most men are, either in the throat, or in the chest, or in the stomach, because they're afraid of losing her because they don't have enough dates, then the probability that there won't be a second date is a lot higher.
Yeah. And then there's another risk that if you're not yourself in the first date and you are just putting yourself on the side, there will be let's say you are dating this girl for, let's say, 2 months. There will be the odd day that you are so frustrated because, let's say, you had a fight with your brother, there was some issue at work, some bad shit happens in life, and you need to share that with her. And because you are never yourself, it to be awkward that all of a sudden you are presenting the person you are to her, and that will be the end of the story, because she's not prepared to that. She will probably say, "Oh, I didn't know you were this negative. Oh, I didn't know you were this complaining." Like, you have to be honest from the beginning. It has to be a foundation.
That's a very interesting point, because that's a very two-edged sword. Because on the one hand, you got to be able to share if something comes up. At the same time, I wouldn't talk about any negative stuff for the first couple of dates at all. Zero. Absolutely zero. Because, and again, it's not that, in the beginning I fake positivity and then 3 months in my true negative self reveals itself. Mm-hmm. If I feel the need to constantly talk about something negative without looking for a solution, then that's something that I got to heal within myself, and maybe I have to work out more. Maybe my need for love and connection isn't met. I feel the need to constantly talk about something negative, then it's something within me that I got to shift. Why do I need to talk about something negative? Why would I ever talk about something? Every now and then I got to vent. Well, why am I going to vent to a girl that I've never met before? Why am I going to vent to a woman? I'm going to vent to my family members. I'm going to vent to my quality male friends. I'm not going to vent to her. She's not my therapist. It's not her responsibility to solve my problems. So I'm not going to bring up anything negative at all. But then you might think, is that just being inauthentic? No, you can mention, there was like a little situation at work, but we're resolving it. Boom, back to solution. You're like, I'm just faking positivity. No, it's who you should be. Why am I going to talk about a problem if not within the context of a solution?
Yeah. Plus, I would say disrespectful, because the person is taking the time to meet you, and you shouldn't just throw shit on her. Especially when you meet someone for the first time, whether it's a date or even like a regular guy that, let's say you met the guy at the gym and you decide to go for a coffee for the first time outside of the gym. You are not going to throw all your problems on that person unless like something massive, extraordinary happened that day, but really something huge. But that's like one time in 10 years,
Even then, I would maybe briefly mention it in one sentence and move on instantaneously.
Yeah.
Vulnerability does not mean being negative.
Yeah, they are completely different things. Now, like myself, you are a big advocate of dating apps, and I'm very happy with that, because I think many people are, but they are afraid of saying it because we might sound like superficial or want the easy thing, but I think it's bullshit. So I openly say that in public with my friends, and I'm going to say it out loud here. I met my girlfriend in a dating app, and I have no shame in saying this. And we are together for almost 5 years. And if some people think it's stupid, it's their problem. It's not mine.
It's a technology. That's like saying I want to cut the bread with my hand as opposed to use a knife. It's a technology.
Yeah. And I think people that curse, the likes of Tinder, OkCupid, and all that, those who say bad things about it is those who suck at using it.
Yeah, no man on earth who's getting quality dates from dating apps will complain about it. The only people who complain about something is who aren't able to make it work.
So you just gave me a compliment because I made it work. So thank you very much.
Well done. It's good. Good job. Well done.
Yeah. So I think they are great, and I would like to get your views on dating apps in general, but only for men in this case.
Sure. So I'm a huge fan of in-person approaches also. Life is and not or. Right? I love in-person approaches. Instagram messages are amazing, but dating apps also, because 15 minutes a day can get you one high quality date a week. If you build a good profile with the right pictures, lifestyle, social proof, status, professional photography, you write a good bio, you get good prompts. If you do that and then you split test apps, they will work for you. Now, granted, fact is that if you are in the bottom 20% of looks, objectively, dating apps won't work for you. That's also a fact. But that only applies to the bottom 20% of men, depending on what their standard is, obviously. That's a fact. But then they can just do in-person approaches, because there are some men who are just too ugly for dating apps. Not in my view. I would never call a man ugly. but there's an what they would call themselves, or what objectively women would call them, right? I'm not talking down on men here at all, but it's a fact that dating apps won't work for some people. For more people, it will work than it won't if they build a great profile, they use it well, they get the premium versions, they learn how to text, it will work. But some men, they're gonna have to go to in-person approaches. Life is and not or. There's 3 ways to get dates. Scalable. Dating apps, Instagram messages, and in-person approaches. It's and, not or.
And who are those men like that would have no visibility, no results? Like
men who look like they're born in a car accident. And it's true. It's a not, and they can still get some dates, but it's never going to work as well with something else. And that really only, be it the bottom 10, 15, 7, 20%, I pulled the number out of my ass. But there is a percentage of men who are just the shortest, they're not best looking, for whom dating apps won't work. That's a fact. But I would say for most, it will. It's just for them, they have to learn in-person approaches. Fact.
Yeah.
Or build a fantastic Instagram, ideally both.
Yeah, and then on top of the looks, I think they are very bad at texting. And you talk a lot about that, like communication, how you approach women. And like, I can say that I almost stopped hanging out with some guys because of the way they were texting women. And you can say, not you, but many people would say that, but why does it have to be with you? What's the relation? It does. It really does. Because I was embarrassed to see the way they were approaching women, because that's a reflection on how are we going to spend our evenings. Like, this thing of replying to your own text after one day, if not 1 hour, saying like when they match, they just write, "Hi, how are you?" among another 1,000 losers. And, they don't put any effort. So they expect these losers, they expect fantastic results without, putting any energy. And especially if you are at the bottom, then you need to be like at the top in terms of texting. Let's say you are born on after a car accident, as you said, you are born like that. But then you are very good at texting. And I met some of those guys. They would have some dates. Okay, they wouldn't be the guys who you will be jealous of, but they will be fairly entertained. But if you are bad at both, you are in big trouble.
Yeah, it's a skill set. You can learn it.
So in terms of texting on Tinder, now Instagram, I think now Instagram is back in my days. I'm off the market for 5 years. So when I was there, I think it wasn't that big as it is now, or at least I didn't use it. So maybe I was not aware of. What's the best approach to start a conversation with a woman after you're matching with her?
On a dating app now, not Instagram.
Yeah, dating app, yeah.
You need to tailor the opener to her profile. So that's where most men suck. They see she hikes. I see you like hiking. I like hiking as well. Or they say, hey, I like your dog. I have a dog too. It's boring, generic nonsense. I'll give you a couple of examples you can use of generic openers if you can't take anything for a profile. But the best openers are tailored to a profile, which is really a skill set you got to develop. You got to get some help with it, or you got to do it, because otherwise conversion rates decrease. But a couple of standard openers you can use is, you seem like you have great energy, Sarah. Okay? If she has a dog, if you have a dog, you can say, we should go on a dog double date someday, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to handle it, if they'll get on better than I do, for example, right? There's some genius, like these are two that you can use if you really can't see anything. But like, you seem like you have great energy, it's a banger one. But the problem is you can't send that out 20 times in a row, because otherwise you'll have bot-like behavior, which no platform likes. So you'll need to tailor it to a profile. And what you got to do is you got to iterate. You look at the profile and look, okay, this is my first thought, discard it. Because whatever your first thought is, some other man will have had as well. So you take the first thought, you discard it, and you iterate, and you iterate. If it's a great profile, spend 2 to 3 minutes on the opener. It's okay. You only have to spend 15 minutes a day on dating apps to get one high-quality date a week. So iteration is key.
Yeah, man, I'm very happy to hear you, because the things you are saying in this podcast and some of what you said on your social media is exactly what I said to my mates. Though I haven't had the chance to tell it in public. Like, tailor your comment, tailor that tell her that comment. It's that simple. Like, look at her profile and make sure that when you're talking to her, she knows that you are talking to her and not to Suzanne or Maria or Jennifer.
Yeah.
She will like that. At least she will pay attention. She
Yeah.
will think, out of those 88 matches, not matches, but hearts I got today, because they get loads of them, there are 5 guys who took the time to know the person they're talking to. Now, you
Yeah.
might be ugly, you might have the worst photo ever, but at least she will read your comment, and that's already something. If she pays, maybe she will check your profile. It's something. You're already ahead of a lot of them, and that's something. And if she replies to you, be happy about it, because that means that you're already, that's in the top 10%. I'm just giving it a number. And if she engaged in a conversation with you, you are like in the 5%. And if she is dating you, you are in the 2%. So you should treat, like, when you go to a date, I always treat it like that. If I'm in a date, I think I'm the favorite, because I made it among 100 guys. I always go to a date like I'm the favorite to the tournament. It's like, let's say you are in Champions League, you are Real Madrid. You can win it, because you are fucking Real Madrid. You can win it.
Yeah.
You might not be on a good day, but still, you are the favorite. And some guys, even after going through all the process, they go to the date still scared, because she has this amazing body, and she does this sport, and she traveled the world, and I didn't. But you are there.
Nonsense.
Yeah. The moment you are seated there with her, it's on you. Like, it's on you, because you already won some competition.
Yeah.
So dating apps, and other than dating apps and Instagram, like, in terms of face-to-face approach, like, what are your views on that? Is it still a thing, or
the single best thing in the whole world is in-person approaches, because it's something I would say 99% of men can't do. 99% of men are not able to approach a woman, be that during the day or at night, without being intoxicated of some sort. They could do it, but they'll never get themselves to do it. And there's only 2 reasons why a man who is single, who wants a relationship, would not approach somebody who he likes. Approach anxiety, fear of rejection, and the other one is a lack of skill set. How do I start the conversation? How do I create a hook point? How do I create emotional relevance? That is a learnable skill set any man can learn. And as Andrew Huberman says, and I'm butchering this because I'm not an expert on the subject, reward preceded by effort boosts testosterone and dopamine. And that's what you get from in-person approaches, not from dating apps. You get a boost of testosterone. I haven't measured it, but I would argue very strongly, if you measure somebody before and after an approach, after they get a number on Instagram after an approach, their dopamine and their testosterone is higher. It is self-actualization. You do something most men are afraid to do. You can't get the gold without the dragon, as Jordan Peterson says. Anything you want is on the other side of resistance. You don't even know how much of life quality you're missing out on by doing that. It is a blue ocean strategy, because nobody does it. At night, women get approached by men who are drunk or on other stuff. But if you go out the bars and you can approach sober, amazing. If you can do it during the day, amazing. Even just by doing it, you already stand out, because nobody does it. And then it's not just a numbers game, it's also a skill set. Can you do it in a calibrated way? Can you do it in a way where you use all of your senses to tailor the conversation to her? What do you hear her say? What visual cues do you perceive? And if you do that, it's going to make you feel alive. And I believe also, how are you going to call yourself a man if you can't even do that? And any man can learn it. You just gotta do it. You just gotta take the step. And it's going to make you feel incredibly powerful, not power over other people, but about yourself. Because it's something you were afraid to do your entire life. And most men are full of shit. Most men think they're good at fighting and they think they're good at talking to women. I can tell you they're bad at both. That's a fact. Give the average man a pair of boxing gloves. He's so instantaneously fucked. It's unbelievable. Ask the average man to do an approach. He won't be able to do it. Now, anybody can learn it, but you got to take the action. And the ones who do, they're going to win. They're going to get a quality relationship, because every approach is going to improve your confidence on the date. Whether the date comes from Bumble or an Instagram message or the approach is secondary. Your confidence on the date, in your interactions with women, will be on a completely different level. Your confidence in business will be on a different level, because you know it doesn't matter who sits in front of you, how much money that person has, you could do something. Most likely, statistically speaking, that guy can't. And it's a valuable skill set, because 20 years down the line, you're going to be at a business meeting with a guy who just got a divorce. He's not able to approach, but he would like to meet women. So you can start a conversation, introduce them, and he's probably going to jump into the relationship straight away, because he's not going to go through a process of evaluating things, which isn't ideally good for him. So you probably should. Nonetheless, he's going to love you for years to come because you introduced them. There's two ways to make men love you as a man: help them with their finances and help them with their dating and their relationship life. If you can do that, that's good.
Yeah, man. We all know that wallet and heart matter a lot. we all know that. And I don't want to get much into politics, but I tend to say that a government can screw the population by making them poor or attacking their children, so sexualizing them and all that. So I think that's where there's a lot of issues these days. I think that they cross the line, and just thinking that here both. And in terms of day-to-day approaches, as you were talking, I just remember this wasn't me, just for the record. Okay, it was one of my good friends back then. He was once he was on the way to work. I don't remember if he was on the metro or on the train. It doesn't make much difference, but he was in public transport, and there was this stunning girl seated, I don't know, 2 meters away from him, and they were staring at each other. And he decided, and he would have no issue like approaching girls during the day in a bar, even without drinking, because he was not a big drinker. Back in the days, this was like 15 years ago, so there were no dating apps, but he would use it effectively if he would still be in the dating market. And he decided, and he was not bullshitting, he decided voluntarily not to approach her. And he said, I will do it differently. And that's a funny one, and I'd like to see what you think of this. So they are staring at each other, exchanging smiles, and before he left the whatever was the train or metro, doesn't matter, he just told her his phone number. He just said, write it down. 8, I'm just coming up with the number, 8643 blah 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 blah. And she wrote it down, and believe me or not, she called him, or she texted him the day after. They met, and she ended up in his place, which was actually our place, because we were flatmates. So for sure, this was true, because I heard all the noise coming from that room.
Yeah. No, I believe that happened. Again, probabilities, not possibilities. Anything is better than nothing. It's awesome that he did that. That's great. But it's much better to either get the number or just a quick Instagram exchange. Instagram is much better because it's so much faster. And then you can take the initiative, because more dates will happen as a result of you sending the initial message than placing the burden of proactivity on her.
Yeah.
But still awesome that you did it. Cool.
It's creative, and it's a story that he can tell, and it's something different. I wouldn't be unhappy to have that event in my portfolio. I have a few others, but I'm not getting into that. What are your thoughts on the red pill? Do you consider yourself red pill or partially red pill?
I'm not ideological. I don't even know what the official definition of it is. Obviously, I'm aware of the space, but I'm not even sure what the official definition is. I'm not ideological. So I like to argue each point based on its merit, not what ideology it's attached to.
Yeah, but is there anything from the red pill that you identify with, or you?
How would you define the red pill?
Well, it's a vast space. It's very hard to get it. But let's say let's try to reduce to 2-3 things. So they're all about empowering men. That would be I think number one. Now the way they do it is to tell men that they are the ones who should take initiative. They should be responsible, and somehow that's my view of the red pill. Okay, somehow women are just there. I wouldn't say to serve, but to have a secondary place, within the couple environment. So they are there. They matter a lot, but man is number one. And
Yeah,
their role is not as, let's say, as vital as the man.
Yeah, I understand your question. These are two very different points. That's what I'm saying. We have to argue each point based on its merit, not do I subscribe to some ideology that's rather vaguely defined. So empowering men, yes. Disempowering women, no. I'm not one of those guys who's for men and against women. Absolutely not. I'm very much for men, 100%. But I don't think men are above women in any way, shape, or form. We're very different in a lot of ways, for sure. But if you want to have a healthy relationship, it has to be on eye level. Now, in certain situations, she wants the man to be the leader. In certain situations, it's going to be a negotiation on eye level. And even what does leadership mean? That's a discussion in and of itself. We can touch on that in a second if you like, because I have a couple of very, very interesting ideas on that. But I'm not one of those guys who are like, women dare to serve men. That's basic nonsense. That doesn't fulfill you. That won't make you happy, really. It's going to give you a little ego kick, and then it's going to leave you feeling very empty. And trust me, I'm not virtue signaling here. This is practical. You don't want to be either the tyrant or the slave in the relationship. Now, what happens is most men perceive themselves as the slave in the relationship. Now, some men treat women like shit, for sure. But a lot of men actually perceive themselves as a slave, and they look up to them. So we need to, boom, level up. Some then go too far, and they're like, because they've been hurt. And I have empathy for that. I have empathy for men who've been hurt in the past. I mean, part of the reason maybe I'm so positive towards women is because I haven't had that much bad things happening to me from women, And I'm not saying that it was nothing. Really, it's not nothing. It's not nothing, as Peterson would say. But I'm very positive because I like to heal things as they come up. I don't judge. And I think there's a lot of talking about the red pill space. I'll never talk bad about anybody by name. I think there's a lot of creators, influencers, whatever you will, in that space who are doing great work in terms of empowering men. A lot of people who are doing great work and who have great intent, who are really trying to help. And then there's a small minority who are just lost and just idiots. But I would say a lot of guys are trying to help really good, trying to help men, empower men, and that's awesome. The problem is there's paradigms of thinking. The first paradigm is I'm way too agreeable. Then I become disagreeable. Then I become too disagreeable. I become too much this full-time alpha tough guy. And I completely neglect the feminine side that I have in me. And then I realize, it's about integrating both. That's what it's ultimately about. But most men, yes, they need that. They need the first paradigm, which is a lot more masculinity. But that doesn't mean you could tell what to do. But it's about agreements. If you want to be fulfilled as an intellectually capable man, the relationship has to be on eye level. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to be in a relationship with somebody who's unnecessarily causing conflict or what have you, but you want to be with somebody who's open-minded, who's willing for you to be proactive and take the initiative. But it's not the thinking in terms of ideologies is always going to lead to issues. I think we're better off as people if we talk about the point based on its merits.
So on one of the articles I read about you, I think you were a news talk or something like that. The name of I need to put that on the table. The name of Andrew Tate was there. How comfortable were you with that?
With what specifically? That they compared me?
Well, Andrew Tate is not the most popular person in the mainstream. So that's why I was thinking, how would you relate to that? Or you just think, this is an awful comparison, or I'm so proud of that. Something in the middle. No.
I'm trying to give you my honest answer. Let me think for a second. I definitely didn't think it was bad, because if you read, it was Andrew Tate, Jordan Peterson, and me. I was like, all right, okay, that's cool. So look, there's not a person on earth that I agree with everything with that they say, right? Not a person on earth. If you're a critically thinking man, there's not a single other man or woman on earth where you will agree to 100% with what they say. Do I think that people like Andrew Tate or Jordan Peterson have a lot of value to share? And they're very different in and of itself. They're not the same person, obviously, but I'm just grouping them for the sake of the argument, for simplicity's sake, so we can move on. Do I think they share a lot of value and they're empowering and they share a positive message? 100%. Do I agree with every single thing? No.
Yeah. So So I would say that you were okay with being in the middle of them, despite
But I didn't
not
really have
agreeing with everything.
Well, I was in the middle of them in terms of an article that was constructed by somebody. So they grammatically put me in the middle of a sentence there. I would never dare to put myself on the same level as Jordan Peterson in any way, shape, or form, right? I was like, being confident is one thing, but as Mike Tyson said when he was talking to Muhammad Ali, there's a moment every head must bow. And I'm not comparing myself to Mike Tyson either, but I would never compare myself to Jordan Peterson. He's a legend. He's such a hero. He's such a hero in so many ways. So I think it's cool that they throw me in there with it. I think it's awesome. And there's a lot of great messages that Andrew Tate shares. Some points where I'm like, nah. Same with Jordan Peterson, even though I would say with Jordan Peterson, I have an even higher degree of overlap. But I think both in their essence are sharing a very positive message, even though you're never going to agree with 100% of what an individual says.
Yeah, of course. So once I was compared to Michel Houellebecq. I don't know if you know this French writer. So I have a book about the time I spent in Budapest, which is composed of 69 chapters, and every chapter is a date I have with the girl. It was 69 by chance. I'm telling you, it was very nice when I was counting. When I was
You're like, oh,
yeah, excellent, like a Kabbalistic number, as they say, 69. And when I got a review that was compared to Michel Houellebecq. So Michel Houellebecq, just in short, is a French writer. He writes a lot about sex, okay, and politics. And he's very concerned with the way that Europe is being taken over by Islam, and is very much politically incorrect. And in the middle, he talks a lot about his sexual encounters with women, prostitutes, though I never a prostitute on that book, and it's not my thing. But anyway, I was compared to that. Now, he is an excellent writer, but he's should I say that in public? He is not the nicest person. Let's put it like that. So I was happy with the fact that I was compared to him as a writer. With the person, I was okay with, but it didn't make my day. That makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me at all. That article didn't faze me whatsoever. I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was funny. Did I feel zero emotions towards it? Probably not, because we human beings we do feel emotions. But I thought it was entertaining. Everybody has the right to an opinion, and if you start expressing some opinion, the cool thing is we don't have anything to hide. I'm very, very transparent with what I believe and what I don't believe. Even though when you're on social media, you have to be a little bit cautious on how you phrase things, obviously. But I'm very transparent with what I believe in terms of dating and relationships. And I believe in kindness. I believe in a relationship on eye level, but I do believe men lack masculinity. Absolutely. And then when I was invited onto News Talk Radio and I talked to them, that's exactly what I said. It's about women like men who are nice and they lack masculinity. It's both.
Yeah, I would endorse everything what you just said, like from A to Z. You also seem a big fan of monogamic relationships. So I don't see these things we have seen in the previous Tate and some other guys on the red pill. But to me, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but you are, and also the way you approach your clients and people on social media, saying finding the partner, building relationship with the right woman. So am I correct in saying that you really recommend people to find that person and build a life with them, and that's the way to go in life?
Yes and no. So one is, I don't prescribe. I think you got to do you got to find your own way. There's monogamous relationships and there's other relationships, right? I just know statistically what works best for most people is monogamy. 100%. That's the fact for most people. And most people want that. It is is it a perfect model? No, but it's probably the best model. Polyamory is nonsense. Polygamy, I don't know, maybe you can make an argument for certain cases, for sure. For most people, it's going to work. I'm not here to prescribe what people should do or shouldn't do. I'm just saying it's the model that works best. And I think you do need a relationship that brings depth to an extent for stability. 99% of men, 95%, for them, it's probably true that they need that. Yeah, I know some people say, for example, in the Muslim world, you can have more wives. Cool, great, no problem. Whatever whatever floats your boat. There's so many different ways of living life. You do you. You do you. But I'm here to help guys find somebody who want a meaningful relationship, right? If they want to have some variation of that model, up to them. But that is the model that statistically works the best for most people in terms of having a family and just in terms of fulfillment.
Yeah, and the other one, which I think it doesn't work for people, and you didn't mention, but I'm pretty sure you will agree with me, is open relationships. That's a great deal for women. That's a great deal for women, because then they can cheat and have free pass to cheat because they are not doing anything wrong.
Well, it wouldn't be cheating. Well, in that case, it wouldn't be cheating because it's an agreement. Cheating means you break the agreement.
Yeah, like having multiple partners. Sorry,
I agree. I don't think it's
a
a man. I think, again, okay, I'm saying I don't want to prescribe, but I feel that a man who's in an in a both-sided open relationship is not honest with himself. No man on earth who's really honest with himself is okay with his woman making love with another man. I don't believe that. And again, if she wants to do that, she's free to do that, but then probably you don't want to be in a relationship with her. That's my recommendation. I don't think that is a model that's going to make you feel good as a man. And if you think you're okay with it, you just lack a little bit of imagination.
Yeah, and I would say you are a cuck and you don't want to admit it.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Yeah.
That's simple, because it's hard to tell bad things to yourself, about yourself.
The challenge is, and remember, so I was married to a woman who wasn't a bad person, but we become psychologically attached. We have a need for love and connection that needs to be met. And if she becomes the sole source for meeting that need, Tony Robbins says we're going to sacrifice our values to meet our needs, which is true. We're going to sacrifice what we say is important to us to meet the need that's most important to us. And one of the ones that's most important to us is love and connection. And we're going to give up a lot of things, even our self-respect, to meet our need for love and connection. Because even toxic relationships, unhealthy relationships, and we've all done unhealthy things, quote unquote, because the term toxic is thrown around these days so much. Even a toxic relationship can still meet your need for love and connection. And that's the problem. And that's why it destabilizes the entire structure of your psychological and emotional well-being if you're faced with the possibility of losing that person. Even if that's exactly what you need. There are some men in this world who need to end their relationship, who are this close to ultimate happiness, which is just ending the relationship. There are some men, probably hundreds of thousands, maybe millions across the world, right? At least thousands of men, a lot, who, if they were to end the relationship with the lady they're in right now, they would find deep happiness within a matter of days or months. Fact. First of all, by getting out of it. That is a fact. Same with women, by the way. There are women who are in relationships with men who are not treating them well, who need to get out of there. That's a fact. And sometimes it's because the other person is an asshole. Sometimes it's because you're just not right for one another and you haven't admitted it to yourself. You're not honest with yourself. Your needs aren't being met and there's no way you can possibly meet hers. You're better off leaving. But it's the thing we're afraid of the most, which is losing love. Yeah. That's why in relationships, we have our greatest highs and our lowest lows. That's why some guys, they prefer to be this overly tough guy, cool guy, because we do need to be a little bit more, most men need to be a little more cool and have more, but they don't allow themselves to open up at all anymore because they're afraid of getting hurt. And that's also a fact. So at some point you do need to open up again, because otherwise you're going to miss out on life's greatest joys. Now, that doesn't mean that you need to be overly vulnerable and too feminine on the first couple of dates. That's also going to repel her. Again, it's a mix of both.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of insecurity when people are okay with carry on with the relationship. They are cheating themselves to how are they going to be perceived if the relationship ends? Because let's say I'm in a relationship with a girl, and then we decide to break up, and after 2 months she's in a relationship. Everyone will think my ex-girlfriend was already with that guy, and maybe that was true, but maybe not. So just not to make the shame public, they keep themselves in that toxic relationship that is only toxic closed doors, but at least it's not seen by the others.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
They rather stay on that.
People care about you're absolutely right. People care about the opinion of the wrong people too much. And it's not about not caring about people's opinions. It's about being more selective with whose opinion you care about. Most people's opinion of you are completely irrelevant. And almost everybody's opinion of some part of you is completely irrelevant. Because ultimately, you got to do you. You got to do you. Your close friends and family members should evaluate whether you're an ethical or a good person to a large extent. Not in terms of you're going to stay married or not. No, but how you're treating people. Simply put, if you're treating people good and your environment agrees with that, that's good. You don't need their opinion for anything else. You can get somebody's input if they have an expertise within a certain area, but that's about it.
So that brings me to my next point, which is not directly related to dating, but it's about the people you surround yourself with, your mates. And you talk about that topic too, that this is vital for your well-being, for your personality development, for your aspirations. So what is the selection process you recommend for a man when it comes to hanging out with other mates?
First of all, there's a book by Jorge Bucay called The Three Magic Questions, La Tres Preguntas, or however you call it. It exists in German and in Spanish, I believe. I don't think it exists in English, but I'll give you basically the essence. Write down, who am I, where am I going, and with whom? Who am I? What do I stand for? What are my values? What do I want to live for? What do I want to die for? What's most important to me? What are my 10 most important values? Write it down. Understand who you are. Then understand what are your goals? What are my goals for the next 3 to 6 to whatever many months? And then understand who do I need in terms of a woman, my dream partner, and quality male friends on that journey, and what characteristics must they have? Loyalty. They need to see me win. There's certain universal qualification criteria and then some individual ones. Universal ones are openness, integrity, honesty, wanting to see you win, a lack of bad habits, good habits, as little flaws as possible. Not zero, everybody has flaws. My uncle always said very intelligently, everybody has a spot on their ass. The only question is whether you can live with it or not. And that translates into, is their flaw a deal breaker or not? Must-haves, nice-to-haves, and deal breakers. What are deal breakers? If this friend of mine exhibits this behavior, bam, he's gone instantaneously. Same with the potential lady that I want to date. What are deal breakers? Because it only takes one. She can have 7 must-haves and 3 nice-to-haves. 1 deal breaker. It's called a deal breaker for a reason. So who am I? Where am I going? And with whom? And then write pages and then screen for it. And then you got to go to the gym. You got to go to a martial arts gym. You got to ask guys out for coffee. Do a workout with them. Do a sparring session with them. Go meet women together. Go talk business together. You got to assume the responsibility for creating a high-quality social network. The number one thing, the number one idea, other than dating and finding the right woman, that I'm trying to push so hard is men spending time with other quality male friends and not having it center around alcohol, because people completely underestimate the power of being around other quality men. Your brain quiets down. I would argue there's an oxytocin release, a dopamine release. There's a whole host of neurotoxins and neurochemicals, neurotransmitters and hormones that are being released in your brain that make you feel good, that strengthen you simply by being around other men. We were designed primarily several hundreds of thousands of years ago, a brain, during a time where we had a tribe around us all the time. All the time. We're not meant to be alone. You got to learn to be okay by yourself. Horse shit. Not true. You're not supposed to be alone ever. Ever. Being alone meant I'm in my room, my family is downstairs. I still have my tribe around me. Our brain learned back in the day that if we are too far away and too long away from the tribe, we would get eaten, we would get killed, or we would lose the ability to pass on our genetics to female members of the tribe. We need people. The number one source of happiness, other than sleep perhaps, is social contact. Johann Hari wrote a book called The Real Causes for Anxiety and Depression, Lost Connections. And he has a variety of them. The number one is lost connection, social contact. You can double, triple your life's happiness by adding 1 to 2 new quality male friends locally, not a global network. Global is awesome, but locally, guys you see all the time. You need that. You need to work out with them and do manly shit. It's important. It boosts your testosterone. You calm down. The moments you've suffered most in your life, we've suffered most, is not when we're with our friends. It's when we are isolated. It's when we're alone. We're not meant to be alone. Yes, meditate. Take 20, 30 minutes a day to feel whatever goes on within you, to be at peace with yourself when you're by yourself. That's different to being alone and isolated. We're never meant to be alone and isolated. It is something we have to assume responsibility for because it's a skill set we are not taught. We are not taught how to find high quality male friends. So you go to the gym, you ask a dude if he can spot you, call him bro, so he knows you don't want to suck his dick. Nothing wrong with that, but if that's not your intent, make it clear, right? Ask him out, hey, let's have coffee. Would you spot me? We should work out together. Go to a jiu-jitsu gym. Go to a boxing gym. Join personal development masterminds. Do something locally. Go to bachata and salsa. It has to be where you live. And mark my words, there is a majority of men out there who are looking for somebody just like you. Because throughout all of our life, high school, university, we meet our friends accidentally. We don't have to do anything for that. Then when most of us start working for some company, we realize, oh, 9 out of 10 of these guys, I don't actually really like. I don't actually like them. I can wish them all the best. From a human perspective, doesn't mean I need to engage in arguments with them, but I don't really like them that much because my values aren't aligned. We don't have the same activities. All I do is get drunk at Friday on Friday at 4 or 6 p.m. I don't have that much in common with them. And now they're lonely. Now they're isolated. That's why they drink alcohol. That's why they start watching adult videos on the internet. It is so crucial, and we can make it happen. Your mental health is going to improve. Your emotional health is going to improve. Your physical health is going to improve. If you spend time with quality male friends, one at a time, you ask a bunch of dudes out, you understand most of those guys, it's like a funnel. Same with dating. It's like a funnel. High quality male friends, you disqualify, you disqualify, you disqualify. And then you're going to meet up with some that are amazing. And your life quality is going to double and triple.
100% agree. And you touch on a point that I wanted to refer, which is the adult movies, or let's call things by names. Porn, like I just want to tell you very briefly what I think about. If you disagree, it's fine. We talk openly. I think we already realized that. Like I think it's disgusting. I think it's disgusting. I don't think it should be banned because I don't have like a moral issue with that. I have more of a practical problem about it. I think it creates a lot of bad habits. Men should have access to that. Maybe when they are young, let's say, I don't know, 20 years old, something like that, it's okay. But if an adult is still watching porn compulsively, he has to see a therapist right away. And if he doesn't have time to see a therapist, he should just resign from his job and go there. If he doesn't have money, he should ask for a loan, because that's more important than anything else. Like, I think porn is a terrible thing, and it should be very much limited.
It's a symptom. That's what it is. It's not, again, I agree in not banning it, because like, who's going to get to decide that then, But I think I believe in individuals. Individual responsibility, you shouldn't do it. Not because it's not because of virtue signaling, but very pragmatically, it's bad for your brain. But again, porn is not the issue in and of itself. Porn is a symptom. When do you do it? When you have nothing else to do. No man on earth, if he could have the option to spend time with his bros, with his quality friends, Friday night, would choose to stay at home. It is a lack of quality social contact with women and other men that drives us to spend isolated time on the internet, and then we naturally seek the most stimulating thing, which is porn. So it's not the problem in and of itself. Yeah, for some people, they need to see a therapist and they got to get rid of that addiction, for sure, no problem, absolutely. And there's ways to do that. But for most of us, just because they don't have anything better to do. Yeah. They work a lot, but then they don't have the dates. They have the urge. If they had a fulfilling dating life and they had quality male friends and they actually like their life and they don't have bad habits, they wouldn't do it. You're not going to, my best friend wants to go to the gym with me and then we're going to go and approach together and then we're going to talk business together. No, bro, I'm going to stay at home and make love to myself. Nobody's going to do that. It's a symptom. If we get to the root cause, which is love and connection, if you meet your need, the symptom subsides. Meet the need and the symptom subsides.
Yeah, no one is saying, I can't wait for this Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon and I'm going to watch that porn movie. I cannot wait. No, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Like, if you are going to watch it, as you said, because nothing else to do.
Exactly.
You might go to the gym, you are going to read a book, you might go for a walk, even by yourself, or oh, this is weird. The Saturday I was looking forward to watch that porn movie. No, it doesn't happen.
And by the way, one thing that I would add is because watching porn is not the same thing as masturbation, because it's very different. These are two different things. So there's three different things. There's masturbation, there's watching porn, and then there's not coming. These are three different things that have to be treated differently because they all have different consequences. Porn, you shouldn't do that at all. Masturbation, I don't think is that big a deal if you don't do it that much, because ideally, if you're not in a relationship, don't do it because it'll drive you to actually socialize, okay? But just that, if you just use your mind, ain't that bad if you do it, let's say, once a day or whatever. Or ideally less, because there's a prolactin release in the brain, which makes you kind of lazy, which takes the evolutionary pressure out of your brain to actually go and socialize and, be a social member. So most men shouldn't do that either, or rarely. And then the other thing is you could theoretically even just like masturbate and not come. That is the thing. But I believe, and I'm misquoting here probably a little bit, but I think Andrew Huberman said, for example, even just having sex with a woman boosts your testosterone by 80%, even if you do end up having an orgasm, right? Yeah. So porn, you really shouldn't do this. But I also don't want men to feel bad about masturbating, because this whole nofap thing is also horseshit to an extent. Mm-hmm. Like there's value in it because, go socialize. Go socialize, meet actual women, right? Go on dates, spend time with quality male friends. You won't need to do that. But if you do that every now and then to relax a little bit, everything's cool. That's not an issue. Just don't get these visual stimuli that mess with your brain. So I think there's an important differentiation there.
Yeah. 100%. And now we are getting to 1 hour, but I just want to have like 5-10 minutes talking about yourself, because I think it's important for the people out there who don't know you also have an understanding who you are, just not your ideas. I think it will make the episode more interesting if there is some personal aspect. So you are based in Ireland, like myself. We don't know each other in person. I hope we will at some point.
Yeah.
But I just want to say that to people, because some people say, "Oh, you are talking to friends," and like, you are my episode 22, if I remember well.
Amazing, well done.
22, and maybe out of 22, I interviewed maybe like 3-5 friends. That's it. So. And you are not one of them yet. Let me put it like that. So you are also based in Ireland. I think you came here after a karate event, and you met a woman, and then that's the reason why you stayed. Can you elaborate that for people?
Yeah. So I originally came here for a karate seminar. Then I met somebody. 1 year long distance relationship. I moved over. I spent a couple of years with her. We got married. We have a daughter. We got a divorce. So that was like a long story, right? But I originally came over because of karate. And then I moved over partially because of karate and because of her. And some of my heroes in karate, they were here, right? And I trained that for many years. I was teaching that at my university. Yeah, that's why I came over.
And you were married for a good few years, and it didn't go very well.
Yeah, so the relationship was 4 years in total, and we were actually only married before we separated for 6 months.
Wow, yeah, that's an interesting. Was she Irish, if I can ask?
Yeah.
Or? Okay. So the relationship finished. That was like how many years ago was that, more or less?
2018, beginning January 2018, I think.
6.5.
2018. 6.5. Exactly.
And yes. You stayed. So what is it about Ireland that you like it?
Yeah, I actually left temporarily and I moved away, and I came back because all of my friends are here. The weather is absolutely horrible, but I have unbelievably good friends who are here. And so right now, Fernanda and I, we're going to Spain regularly to get some sun, but my friends are here. I have unbelievably amazing friends, and that is the most important thing to me in the world. It's also a place that I know. There's a lot of amazing things about Ireland. I really, really like it.
What is it like? Other than friends, what are the things that you like it here?
What do I like? Because it was a very intuitive answer. What do I like? Well, one, you could say it's home because I've been here for so long. Also, the amazing martial arts scene, unbelievably skilled fighters, right? I'm taking private jiu-jitsu classes with an amazing MMA fighter in Dublin. I just started that this week. I trained karate, an amazing karate scene, even though I'm not with them anymore. They're amazing. Super international. One of my friends, he runs the best dance school, in my opinion, in the whole country, the Dublin Salsa Academy. He's from Cuba. That is awesome. It's home. Like these are like if I'm trying to like logically justify my feeling of it being home, I would say that's it. The overwhelming thing is my friends are here. If my friends were to all go to Barcelona, I'd leave. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing for me. But I've been here for so long and I like it. I went to university here 10 years ago. So yeah.
Yeah, the socials. I totally agree with that, because I like Ireland as a country. Let's not get into that. But I also spent some time in Cork for 1.5 years, and I love it. But I didn't know anyone there because it was COVID, or whatever they call it. So it was very hard to spend time with others, or to make friends. It was just myself, my girlfriend, and my cat, which is great. They are the two most important creatures here in Ireland. Is my cat and my girlfriend. So I was happy, but I missed that. That's why I came back to Dublin, where I have, like, I don't know, 5-10 good friends. It makes a huge difference, like especially at a certain age. You cannot just be by yourself. Every age. Yeah,
100%.
every age. Is there anything you miss from Germany, and there's anything you don't?
My family, but that's about it. Nothing else.
Okay, but I asked you 2 questions. Anything you miss, anything you don't? I don't know if you miss your family or you don't.
Family, yeah, other than my family, everything else I don't miss.
Everything else you don't miss. Yeah. Can you detail that a bit?
Because what would I miss in Germany that I don't have here?
Yeah. So it's just family.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But is there anything from Germany that you don't miss? That you are happy that is there? Anything you don't? But I'm open about it. I can say things I don't like about Portugal. It's
like,
I don't want to get much into detail. Is there anything that some German thing that you are happy that you don't have it? Just more, nothing.
The one thing that Germany has gotten good at in the recent years is dairy-free products, because I'm celiac and dairy intolerant. So Germany's better at that than Ireland. But other than that, I think it's a good country, but it's like I don't miss anything. No.
Do you go often to Germany?
To visit my family, yeah. Several, like 3, 4, 5 times a year or something. Yeah. Maybe 3, 4. Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of next projects, are you learning Portuguese?
No.
Portuguese from Brazil? No. I'm not here trying to sell you me as a private teacher. Huh? I'm not here trying to make it won't be that useful. Because
it's a very fair question. And I think it's a very, very interesting language, even though it's so different, right? Like Fernanda speaks Portuguese, obviously, and when she speaks, it's extremely melodic, put it that way. And like, I know the insults, right? I know all the funny shit. Like, I'm not going to say like, I know like bad insults and stuff, which is hilarious because like I have a friend of mine, Fernanda taught me stuff. A friend of mine, he's half Brazilian, half Norwegian. He also taught me obviously some things, right? So no, I'm never going to learn another language because the ROI on me learning another language just simply doesn't exist, especially if in 5 years, we're all going to have automatic on-the-fly translation with different devices. Because I only speak 2 languages, but I speak them perfectly, which is German and English, okay? And that's it. For me to learn a language and to get to that level of proficiency makes no sense. Most people don't even speak English. Most people don't even speak German. Most people can't speak German at the level where I speak German. Most people can't speak English at the level that I speak English. So I would rather focus on mastery within those 2 languages than add another one. It was the same with bachata and salsa. 4 years of bachata, not even that much, I haven't even taken it that serious. That much bachata, 0 salsa. And most people learn both. I have 0 salsa. Because in my mind, instead of doing both half-assed, I'd rather have some degree of good-ish proficiency, and I should be a lot better for the 4 years that I've been doing it, but it was just a hobby. I wasn't taking it that serious. I'd rather be this good in bachata and have 0 salsa than both half-assed,
Yeah. Okay, so Portuguese is not one, and it's fine.
I'm not going to learn any other language. I'm not going to learn any other.
Yeah. No, I'm just not taking offense here. So what are your projects like? Is there anything you want to start? Anything you want to expand on what you are doing?
The same thing. Keep doing what I'm doing. Make it bigger. Help more people. I want to do more in-person seminars. I love that because most of my clients are obviously like around the world in the US. And I love that. I love Zoom calls. Amazing. But I love in-person seminars. It's amazing. We did a seminar in Dublin in December. It was a 10-hour seminar in a hotel room. Okay, 10 hours. It was amazing. I love that. In person is something that really, really energizes me. That's something that I want to do more of, I would say. But I have a job that I really love. It's like a friend of mine said it to me, Dav, you have the best job in the world. Your job is dating and relationships, and you're paid for that. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Look, I like to give advice for dating, like on my personal life, because it's I don't care if my girlfriend is going to watch this or not, but in a way, it's like myself putting in their shoes. So I'm kind of dating that girl without cheating, you know.
Yeah, you're vicariously living through them.
It's cool. It's cool. I think it kind of fills some gap, because we all, like, as men, like, I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm very happy in my relationship. I don't see, like, I don't have any voracious appetite to go there and chase other women. It's not, of course, I notice women and all that, and there are this little flirt, but that is natural. But it kind of fills the gap when you are stepping on other shoes, because you get that spark, you get that flavor. So it's cool.
I get it. I understand it. I completely get it. Yeah, I love it. It's so awesome. It's an amazing job to have. I feel very, very fortunate. Yeah, if you're able to, and like, you have a lot of the ideas you have, I think, really, really awesome. So I think it's very helpful, especially if you're able to help your friends, because when they're caught up in their own emotional stuff, they're not able to think themselves out of it. So I think you're helping them beyond just helping yourself, you know?
I think it just crossed my mind, maybe when I was researching about you, because I follow your stuff for quite some time. But I thought maybe this guy, beside the dating, he can also be helpful, or maybe already do that, and I don't know, be helpful when it comes to helping men to improve their relationship with women. Let's say I have struggles with my girlfriend, and I would sit with you and you give me some advice. Is it something that you do, or you intend to do in the future?
No, I do that. I do that on a one-on-one basis with clients. A lot less than just the other stuff, like the dating stuff and like getting into the relationship part. But that's definitely something I also help with.
Yeah. So what will be, just last question, what will be your advice for a man to make sure that there is spark in his relationship? Let's say after a couple of years, when routine kicks in. Just in short, what would be your suggestions?
Two things. Look for what's missing. Is she missing trust, reassurance, comfort? Is she missing you giving her a lot more love? Or is she missing more masculinity and spark and polarization? You being disagreeable, you setting some boundaries, like, playfully and lovingly. Is it you leading, saying, hey, let's go, let's do this, taking the initiative? It's only ever, is she missing masculine energy from you or feminine energy? Is she missing more love? Is she's missing one of those? If there's a spark missing, create a new adventure. Say, let's go do this. Maybe set some boundaries. Speaking your truth creates a lot of spark. Speaking what's true, communicating your opinion in an intimate way about your needs, about what you do, how you'd like date night to be, adventures you want to have together. Maybe you have to do things by yourself more. Ask yourself, what do Alan Watts says? It starts with, what do I desire? What do I desire? And then how can I meet her needs? And then if you do that and she lights up, a lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of people are in relationships with somebody they're not even compatible with, and they shouldn't even be in that relationship, and they should end it. But other people are in relationships with one another where they are compatible, but the spark is gone because her needs aren't met. And then she's not this beautiful little girl. She just becomes very serious and stern. You're like, that's not who I wanted to be with. But it's not even her fault necessarily. I mean, no matter how thin you slice it, there's always two sides. But if you're not meeting her needs by either not being masculine or feminine enough, well, then she can't be that little girl around you. But all women inside of them have this beautiful feminine energy. If you awaken it, you feel happy, you feel fulfilled. And a lot of men, most men who cheat to an extent, they do that because they don't have their needs met, because she doesn't love them that much. And if you are compatible, again, most people should just end the relationship probably. But if you are compatible, then figure out, does she need more boundaries? Does she need more me taking the initiative, leading, loving and playful? Or does she need more love and reassurance and trust and listening and presence? The number one thing women want from men is presence. Some people in the red pill space call it, they just want validation. And they talk about it in a derogatory fashion. But we all love presence. She just wants you to be present. And sometimes 7 minutes of pure presence, of her just allowing her to just boom, unleash it all, and you just being present, that can be enough for her to then just totally open up again. Full presence, undistracted, unreactive presence can sometimes do the trick.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot to take away from this conversation for guys who are single, guys who are fairly successful with women, guys who are in a relationship and they think things could be more colorful, or all sorts of guys, which I think is great, because that was my objective, So I think it was very, very fruitful, the chat. So I want to thank you for this, and I'm going to put in.
Muito
Sorry.
obrigado.
Here we go. You're Portuguese. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know some insults, so I'm happy we didn't finish with an insult. That's a good sign.
That would have been bad.
Yeah, so that was great, David. I really enjoyed this chat. I'm gonna put your social media links on the description. And now we have 1.5 million. Maybe by the time I open the social media, I have 2 million. You never know, because every time I check, you have, I don't know, 100,000 more. So we never know.
Well, it's not quite as fast, but I think a little bit of growth is there. Yeah.
No, I'm just exaggerating because I'm Latino. No? You are used to that. No,
I know.
We are exaggerated. So,
I know.
So thanks for the chat and
Thank you so much.
stay in touch. Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much. Speak soon.